long before history was written, before the first stone city rose from the earth. There was the jungle, a green eternity untouched, undisturbed, alive. And deep within it, beyond the reach of light or time, existed something the world has long forgotten. The tribe before time, the first civilization of the Amazon born from the breath of the forest itself. The jungle does not remember names. It remembers sounds, blood, and echoes of what once was. And for thousands of years, it has kept a secret buried beneath its roots. A secret of a tribe that existed before man learned to speak, before gods had names, and before death had meaning. Imagine standing at the edge of a forest that stretches beyond the horizon. The air is heavy with mist. Every tree seems to watch. There are no birds here, only the low hum of unseen life. This was the world of the Irama, the tribe that legends whisper were the first to walk these lands. Not humans as we know them, but something older, half spirit, half flesh. Their skin shimmered with patterns like the leaves. Their eyes glowed faintly in the moonlight. They spoke not in words, but in songs, each tone shaping the forest around them. The Irama believed the jungle was alive, not a collection of trees, but one breathing being. They called it Oma, too, the mother of all green. According to their songs, Oma, too, birthed them from the soil to protect her heart, a sacred place hidden so deep no sunlight ever touched it. They lived in harmony with her, hunting only what she allowed, drinking from rivers that glowed faintly under the moon. But balance never lasts forever. One cycle 1,000 suns ago something changed. A light appeared in the sky, not the sun, not fire, but something alive. The Irama gathered at the sacred clearing to watch the light descend into the jungle. They said it whispered in a voice older than creation. Some called it a gift, others a curse. What they didn't know was that this light carried something that would end them. Within days, the rivers began to change. The glow turned darker. The animals grew silent. The tribe's elders sang their protection songs, but the forest no longer responded. Oma, too, the mother, had gone silent. One night, a young hunter named Rotten dreamt of the ancient light. In his dream, it called to him, showing visions of a temple buried beneath the roots of the oldest tree. A temple that did not belong to the forest. Its walls were carved with symbols that glowed red like fire, pulsing like a heartbeat. When he woke, the sound of the jungle was gone. He looked around and saw his tribe asleep, every one of them breathing in unison, their eyes glowing faintly with that same red light. Something had entered them, something from beyond the stars or below the earth. No one knew, but the hunter, Rotten, was awake when no one else was. And in that silence, he heard something, a heartbeat, coming from deep underground. The jungle remembers everything. The rise of gods, the fall of tribes, the screams swallowed by the leaves. But some stories it tries to forget. Rotten's story was one of them. Rotten walked for days, guided only by the sound beneath the soil. The deeper he went, the denser the jungle grew, vines like veins, pulsing faintly as though alive. The air thickened until every breath burned his lungs. He did not eat. He did not sleep. He only walked. The heartbeat grew louder. And then, one night, he reached it. A clearing unlike any other. The trees bent away from it, their roots curling like frightened animals. In the center stood a mound of stone, swallowed by centuries of moss and time. It was not of the forest. It was older. He knelt beside it, brushing away layers of mud. The symbols on the stone began to glow faintly, red as blood in moonlight. They were the same as the ones from his dream. The earth trembled. The jungle shifted around him. The heartbeat grew so loud it drowned his thoughts. Then, a voice whispered inside his head, not in words, but in something deeper, a feeling, ancient and heavy. It said, "You were never born of earth. You were made." Rotten fell to his knees. Visions flooded his mind, not of trees or rivers, but of fire, metal, creatures of light descending from the sky, their hands shaping clay that moved and breathed. The Irama were not children of the forest. They were its invaders. The mother they worshipped was not their creator. She was their prison, and she had been waiting. Rotten screamed as the red light erupted from the stone. The jungle roared to life, animals fled, trees bent backward, the rivers boiled. When the light faded, The clearing was empty. Only the heartbeat remained, echoing faintly below the ground. Days later, the Arama woke from their trance. Their eyes no longer glowed. The red light was gone, but so was their song. The jungle did not answer when they called. Something in them had changed. Their skin began to darken, turning the color of bark. Their veins glowed faintly green. One by one, they sank into madness, clawing at the earth, whispering the same word over and over. Return. They believed Oma too had abandoned them, but the truth was far worse. She had taken them back. Their bodies became part of the forest. Their bones grew into roots. Their voices became the wind. The Arama were no longer a tribe. They were the jungle itself. Only one remained, the hunter. Rotten wandered endlessly through the forest that now breathed with his people's souls. The whispers never stopped. They begged him to sleep, to return, to join them, but he refused. He was not ready to forget. He built fire where no fire had ever been. He carved the symbols of his people onto the rocks, hoping that someday someone would find them and remember. But centuries passed. The jungle grew. The fire died. His name was lost. What remained were the stones buried deep beneath vines and earth, waiting for the next intruder to uncover them. And when they do, the heartbeat will start again. Because the forest remembers everything. It remembers creation. It remembers betrayal. And it remembers the first tribe. The tribe that came before time. Centuries passed. Empires rose and turned to dust, while the jungle watched, patient and still. The world forgot that the first tribe had ever breathed. Then came men with maps and machines. They called themselves explorers, scientists, seekers of truth. But the jungle had another name for them: the returners. A small expedition arrived one season when the river ran black from rain. They were looking for ruins rumored to predate all known civilization. The locals refused to guide them past the third waterfall. They said the air beyond it carried voices that did not belong to this age. The men laughed, as men always do before the forest teaches them silence. They crossed anyway. Their machetes sliced through vines older than their bloodlines. Every cut bled sapped the color of rust. At night, they heard drums in the distance, slow, rhythmic, pulsing like a heart. By the fifth day, one of them vanished. They searched, calling his name, but the forest answered with the same sound that had once guided Rotten, a deep, living thud beneath the soil. They should have turned back. They didn't. The leader, Professor Vale, believed he was close. He spoke of lost cultures, of discovery, of immortality through knowledge. He followed the heartbeat until the ground began to breathe beneath his feet. And there it was, a mound of stone half buried in roots, just as the old myths described. The same markings, the same spiral pattern carved into the surface. He brushed away the moss and the symbols glowed red. The others froze. Their breath turned cold in the warm jungle air. Vale smiled. Proof, he whispered. The ground split open. From the crack rose a vapor, thick and sweet like decay. The jungle shuddered. Birds burst from the canopy in a single black wave. The team ran, but Vale didn't move. He was transfixed, staring into the light. Inside it, he saw shapes, figures made of vines and ash, faces shifting like smoke. They reached toward him. He tried to speak, but the sound that left his throat was not human. It was the ancient song of the Arama. The others never made it out. Days later, rescue teams found their camp empty, gear untouched, fire still burning. Only Vale's camera remained. Its last recording showed the jungle breathing. The trees moved as one, bending toward the lens before everything went black. No one returned to that part of the Amazon again. The locals sealed the trails, called it cursed land. Satellite images show nothing but endless green. But sometimes on nights when the river runs low and the air turns heavy, the jungle hums with a sound that shouldn't be there. A low, steady beat beneath the earth. Those who live nearby say it's the sound of the forest's heart. But the elders know better. They say it's the tribe, still waiting, still dreaming, still remembering. The Arama were the first. They will also be the last. Because time ends where they began, in the depths of a forest that never forgets. And when you step beneath its canopy, when the air grows thick and the shadows move on their own, remember this story. Remember Rotten. Remember the tribe before time. For the jungle is alive, and it remembers you.